Rocks! Rocks are everywhere. But did you know that rocks, no matter where they are in the world, all fall into three big groups? Hi, welcome to another Ranger Friday. Today we're going to be talking about the three types of rocks and the rock cycle. The first type of rock are igneous rocks. Igneous comes from the Latin word for ignis, which means fire. Igneous rocks are rocks that are formed from magma or lava. The first way that it can form is when magma gets trapped in pockets underground. It cools very slowly. Magma that cools underground turns into rocks like granite. Granite can be very hard, and because it's formed from very slow cooling magma, it forms very large crystals that you can see with your naked eye. The second way in which igneous rock is formed is when lava reaches the surface, it cools very quickly. Rocks that are formed in this way, like pumice or obsidian, tend to have very dark colors. Pumice is formed when very explosive eruptions cause air bubbles to be inside the magma when it cools. That's why pumice has so many pores inside it. Igneous rocks are the most common rocks and make up 95% of the Earth's crust. The second type of rocks are sedimentary rocks. Sediment is small particles of rocks, sand, mud, or organic material. Organic material means it's something that comes from a plant, like little broken pieces of leaves, or from an animal, like animal droppings.
That was an animal fart if you didn't know.
Sediment settles to the bottom of bodies of water like lakes, rivers, or seas, and over time, more and more layers of sediment will get deposited on top of each other. Deposited just means that more and more layers get laid down. All that sediment squeezes and presses until the layers underneath it become rock, that we call sedimentary rock. Sedimentary rocks make up the majority of the rocks around us in the desert. Sedimentary rocks tend to be very, very soft, so you can actually crush them in your hands or crush them when you walk on them with your feet. Sedimentary rocks are also the rocks that fossils are found in. Plants and animals that have been deposited in those layers that we talked about get preserved. And now, if you go out into the desert and you look hard enough, you can actually find plants and animals pressed into the rocks. The third group of rocks is metamorphic rocks. The word metamorphic comes from the word morph, which means to change shape or form. Metamorphic rocks are created when rocks are changed through extreme heat and pressure. Igneous rocks, sedimentary rocks, and even other metamorphic rocks can be changed through heat and pressure into new kinds of rocks. Metamorphic rocks can be formed deep in the Earth's crust, way underground where the temperature and the pressure is really, really high. Metamorphic rocks can also be formed when rock is heated by pockets of magma or by the movement of tectonic plates. Remember, tectonic plates is what causes earthquakes. Another interesting thing about metamorphic rocks is the type of rock that is being heated and changed determines the type of metamorphic rock that is created. For example, Sandstone, when heated and exposed to pressure, will turn into quartzite, and limestone will turn into marble. Rocks are constantly being formed and changed in something called the rock cycle. The rock cycle starts with magma. When magma is cooled, it forms into igneous rock. When igneous rock is weathered and eroded, you guys remember learning about that, right? It gets deposited in layers at the bottoms of rivers and lakes. Those layers over time get pressed and squeezed into sedimentary rock. And then over time, that sedimentary rock can get pushed underground to where it's very hot and there's a lot of pressure and be morphed into metamorphic rock. If that metamorphic rock gets pushed too far underground, it'll eventually melt and turn back into magma. The rock cycle reminds us that everywhere in the world, rocks are constantly changing and constantly being reformed. I hope you enjoyed yourself this Ranger Friday, and I hope you learned a lot about rocks. I'll see you next week. This is Ranger Skyler, signing off.